So this is bột ban from Hakka Central, Meizhou. Bột in bột ban means puffed up and ban means rice products. While this bột ban may be one of my personal favorite ban, Hakka cuisine has all kinds of ban items and it's its own culture in and of itself. See, there are several theories about the origins of Hakka people. We definitely don't want to get too much into the weeds on this front. Anyway, today it's widely believed that Hakka people migrated over time from the north of the country to the southeast. When it comes to their cuisine, that means that they crossed China's fabled wheat rice divide in that process. As you probably already know, wheat and wheat products like bread, noodles, dumplings have been a more prominent way of eating in the north of the country. So, as Hakka people migrated to the rice dominant south, many of their traditional dishes had to be adapted to this new environment. For example, it's thought that many of their classic stuffed dishes are an adaptation of trying to make dumpling without wheat flour. So, as this practice goes on, there are more and more rice based items, and the character ban, which is listed under the radical rice, became this unique Hakka term to describe these baos, dumplings, and cakes that are made with rice instead of wheat. So, as Lunar New Year is approaching, I think this will be a good time to introduce the delicious Ban culture with this classic Hakka New Year's celebratory steamed rice cake. And to make rice cake, you'll need rice. Here we're using a total 400 grams of jasmine rice. As to why we're using jasmine but not H basmati, short grain, or sticky rice, or even rice flour, check out the panel for a more detailed discussion. So, right. Now, first take 300 grams of the rice and rinse a couple times till water runs clean. Soak for at least 6 to 8 hours or overnight, preferably in the fridge. And here is the remaining 100 grams of rice, also rinsed, and now we'll need to cook it. To a pot of 3 cups boiling water, toss in the rice. Let it cook for 8 minutes on medium heat. Then heat off, strain well till no water is dripping. Then put the rice back to the pot. Spread it out evenly, cover and let it sit and cool down to room temperature. See, we are only aiming for a quick starch gelatinization here, and that's why we're not steaming it afterwards for that optimal texture for eating. Anyway, so now once it cools down, put the rice onto a plate and store it in the fridge, uncover till it's ready to make the rice batter. Now, 8 hours later, the rice is done soaking. Strain well and we can make the batter. So, to a blender, toss in your soaked rice, the cooked rice, 160 grams of ice water to keep the batter relatively cool, 140 gram brown sugar. Here we're using pounded jaggery, but you can use granulated, no problem. And at last, 2 tablespoons of red yeast rice to make it red. You can use food coloring here if you don't have red yeast rice, but if you want to keep it simple, you can even just skip the coloring and the sugar you use will determine the color of your final rice cake. White for yellow and brown for brown, just as how they sold it in Meizhou. Now cover and blend on high for 5 minutes. Scrape down if needed till you got a smooth batter with a consistency like this. Now, a quick note about blender and water quantity. If you are working with a blender that's less heavy duty like ours, you may want to work on your batter in 2 to 3 batches, and that's actually how we end up doing. As for the water quantity, depends on how dry your cooked rice is. You may need a little bit more water. So if your batter seems a little bit too thick and the blender couldn't really blend it together, you can add in about 20 to 40 grams of water, 10 grams at a time to adjust the consistency. But remember, don't be too aggressive because the batter should look like a relatively thick pancake batter. When the batter is ready, pour into a big bowl. Mix in 2 grams of osmotolerant yeast. Cover and remember where it's at, and when it's double in size, it will be ready to steam. So for us, 3 hours later, it's time to steam our bột ban. Before steaming, let's talk about molds and steaming setup. In Meizhou, they have this specific kinds of little cups for botban. For us that don't own those, a teacup or some small ramekins or even a sturdy cupcake mug will do the job. But you do want to avoid something that's wider than is deeper because a narrow opening will help cap the air bubbles inside and which will later help break and make the crack. And the end result of a wider mold tends to be flatter. As for steaming setup, you can use a regular steamer of course, but because the cake will rise pretty high, it will probably hit the lid and then part of the cake will become pressed. So you can either use a lid that has more room or you can elevate the lid or using something deeper like I do. Just use your imagination and create more room, but just make sure it's relatively well sealed and covered because we do need that strong steam to make it crack. So right, when you get your setup ready, lightly oil your molds, put them onto your steamer over a big pot of rapidly boiling water. Let the molds preheat for 2 minutes. Meanwhile, give your batter some good stir to get rid of the big air bubbles for an even texture. After the molds are preheated, check the temperature. It should be above 80 degrees Celsius. Then pour in your batter and fill it all the way up to 90% of the cup. Finish pouring in the batter, cover, and steam on high for 30 to 40 minutes. Depends on your mold size. Our cups is about 120 milliliters in volume and it takes us 40 minutes. Now, time's up, heat off. Take them out and let them cool down to touch. Then gently press the edge and lift the cake out of the cup. Let them completely cool down for the best texture at least 3 hours. And then your Hakka smiling botban is done. You can enjoy it as a snack, presented on your New Year's gathering or on the New Year rituals table as it's often intended to be. So right, this is how you make botban, a simple but auspicious and enjoyable steamed rice cake. There are still some details that we couldn't fit into this video, so do remember to check out the pin notes for a little bit more discussion. And as always, check out the recipe in the description box. A big thank you for everyone that's supporting us on Patreon. We wish everybody a prosperous and healthy year of tiger. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more Chinese cooking videos.